into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating lecture series about how ancient dirt, literally the soil beneath our feet, either challenges or totally confirms the historical record of the Old Testament. It's a massive journey. We're talking thousands of years, buried cities, and these crazy accidental discoveries that have completely flipped our understanding of history on its head. So we're going to look closely at a presentation that explores this deep, deep tension between secular archaeology and the biblical text. And the lecturer sets up this central tension right off the bat, asking what is really a fundamental question? Does archaeology actually prove the Bible is true, or do the stones and the soil tell a completely different story? You know, for decades, there's been this intense push and pull between what we physically dig up from the earth and what's written down on ancient parchment. As the lecturer points out, prominent archaeologists have historically argued that a lot of biblical events have absolutely zero physical evidence. Take Kathleen Kenyon, for example. She excavated Jericho for 6 years and claimed the city was actually uninhabited during the biblical date of the Exodus. So she basically concluded that major events like the Israelite conquest had no physical support in the dirt whatsoever. But okay, to understand how experts even look for this evidence, we first need to get a handle on what a tell actually is. Back in antiquity, when a city was destroyed, say by fire or a massive war, the next generation would often just build right on top of the rubble. So over hundreds and hundreds of years, this creates a massive artificial hill. That's a tell. It's essentially layered, like a giant cake of human history. Now, before getting into that dirt, the lecturer starts defending biblical authenticity by looking at the physical manuscripts themselves. The presentation asks this really foundational question. How do we know the text wasn't completely corrupted over thousands of years of manual copying? Well, the answer is wild. It actually starts with a few purely accidental discoveries hidden out in the desert. This historical timeline beautifully illustrates these massive leaps backward in time. I mean, for the longest time, the absolutely oldest Hebrew manuscript we had on record was the Aleppo Codex from the 10th century AD. Then, in 1947, some Bedouin shepherds were just throwing rocks into caves and stumbled upon the Dead Sea Scrolls. That pushed our oldest texts all the way back to 200 BC. But, and here's the crazy part, the timeline doesn't even stop there. We're jumping even further back, to the 7th century BC with the discovery of the silver amulet scrolls. The lecture makes a huge point here, highlighting that this 7th century BC silver amulet contains the exact same priestly blessing found in the Book of Numbers, specifically Numbers 6:24 through 26. This makes it literally the oldest copy of Scripture we currently have anywhere in the world. It predates the Dead Sea Scrolls by more than 4 centuries. And, as the lecturer notes, this fundamentally challenges the theory held by some scholars that the Old Testament was just a late creation written after the Babylonian exile. Amazingly enough, the lecturer points out that this groundbreaking discovery back in 1979 only happened because a teenager got bored. Seriously, a kid was helping an archaeologist clean out a looted, collapsed burial cave in Jerusalem, got bored, and just started banging a hammer around. He accidentally broke off a piece of stone and revealed a completely hidden chamber containing 125 silver objects, including these tiny, tiny scrolls. So a moment of childhood boredom literally rewrote archaeological history. It's just wild. So the crucial takeaway here is that while manuscripts are one thing, geographical dating is a whole different ballgame. And that brings us to a major, major conflict in the archaeological world regarding the mysterious destroyed cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. It begs the question, what do we actually do when the dates we find in the dirt just don't match the dates written in the text? The lecturer impartially maps out the two main theories for locating Sodom. On one hand, you have the southern theory, which proposes a site destroyed by fire around 2070 BC, and that aligns pretty well with the biblical timeline of the patriarchs. But then you have the northern theory, pointing to a site called Tal el-Hammam. Now, this one is heavily favored by secular archaeologists today, but its destruction layer dates to 1600 BC. As the presentation points out, this totally disrupts the biblical timeline, shifting everything by nearly 500 years. To really unpack the friction here, the lecturer brings in a quote from conservative scholar Eugene Merrill. Merrill warns against what he calls a methodological fallacy, basically the danger of automatically assuming that secular archaeology and modern dating methods are just inherently more accurate than the biblical text. The lecturer emphasizes that if you force the text to fit that 1600 BC date, it completely dismantles the entire chronological scheme of the early Old Testament.
And this dating conflict, it perfectly builds up to the overarching theme of the entire lecture. It's this deep philosophical choice about authority. When the two contradict, do you use the biblical text to interpret the archaeological findings, or do you use the secular interpretation of the dirt to reinterpret the Bible? It's the classic text versus tell debate.
The lecturer makes an argument for trusting the text by showing how archaeology frequently, and I mean frequently, has to play catch-up to the Bible. For example, for a very, very long time, critics alleged that the Hittite Empire was a complete invention by biblical authors. The Hittites are mentioned heavily in the Old Testament, interacting with everyone from Abraham to Solomon, but critics said they were a myth because no physical trace of them had ever been found. 10,000. That is the staggering number of clay tablets discovered at a site called Hattusa back in 1906. These tablets, along with these massive stone gates and fortifications, proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Hittites weren't some fairy tale. They were an absolutely massive, sprawling empire, stretching all the way from the Aegean Sea to the Euphrates River. For the lecturer, this is definitive proof that the text was right all along. The dirt just hadn't given up its secrets yet. Similarly, the lecturer points out that King David, arguably one of the most famous figures in the entire Bible, lacked any extra-biblical verification for centuries. Critics literally considered him a legend, kind of like a King Arthur-type myth. And that was the consensus right up until archaeologists were excavating an ancient city gate in northern Israel at a site called Tel Dan. Right there at Tel Dan, they found a 9th century BC stone slab. But it wasn't written by an Israelite. It was written by an enemy Aramean king bragging about his military victories. On this shattered monument, translated from Aramaic, is a direct, undeniable reference to defeating the House of David. The lecturer notes this provided the very first historical proof of King David outside of the Bible, and ironically, it was set in stone by one of Israel's fiercest enemies. Now, shifting gears from historical proofs to more practical application, the lecturer uses this exact site, Tel Dan, to define a concept called syncretism. Syncretism is basically the assimilation of foreign traditions into one's own religious practices. According to the presentation, syncretism was the fatal flaw. It's what led ancient Israel, and specifically the tribe of Dan who lived at this archaeological site, into deep, deep idolatry. Using a physical pagan altar that was excavated right there at Tel Dan as evidence, the lecturer argues that Israel's downfall was, well, kind of an inside job. It wasn't just invading armies that destroyed them. It was the slow adoption of cultural practices, idols, and even the conveniences of the surrounding nations. I mean, King Jeroboam actually set up a golden calf at this exact site just to make worship more convenient than having to travel all the way down to Jerusalem. Applying all this ancient history to the modern day, the lecturer challenges viewers to really look at how today's culture mirrors this exact same syncretism. The presentation argues that modern believers assimilate traditions in a lot of ways, whether it's turning holy days into commercialized gift-giving holidays, prioritizing Sunday sports over church attendance, or tying it all back together, elevating secular scientific interpretation above Scripture. Wrapping up the whole argument, the lecturer asserts a pretty firm conclusion: believers shouldn't fear the dirt. The underlying message of the presentation is that archaeology isn't the enemy of faith. Instead, the lecturer argues that when scientific and archaeological findings are evaluated and interpreted through the correct chronological and textual lens, they will ultimately align with and even support the biblical record. So as we wrap up this explainer, looking back at everything from those tiny silver amulet scrolls to the sprawling Hittite tablets, it really leaves us with a profound realization about just how much of human history is still hidden. It absolutely makes you wonder, what other monumental, paradigm-shifting piece of history is just sitting beneath the dirt right now, waiting for a bored teenager's hammer strike to finally see the light of day?